Hey friends, welcome back to the Guitar Max channel, and we've got some massive news in the ongoing years-long legal battle between Gibson and Dean Guitars. And in my opinion, the outcome of this legal battle could affect the entire guitar industry. Okay, so this news just broke a couple days ago. Everybody's talking about it, and I've got an article up on my computer here from guitar.com that goes over all of the basic details, and we're going to go through that article, but then I'm going to add in some extra points that I think a lot of people, and especially a lot of the news articles, are really missing. Okay, so the latest between Gibson and Dean Guitars, we'll get right into this, but real quick guys, if you enjoy videos like this, checking out cool new guitars and staying up on all the latest news in the guitar universe, and you have not already subscribed for some reason, please consider subscribing right now. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the article over on guitar.com. Here's the headline: Dean Guitars versus Gibson trademark judgment reversed on appeal, case to be retried. And just so you know, I'm going to have a link to the original article for this down in the video description below. But let's go ahead and read on here. Here we go. Dean Guitars' long-running trademark and counterfeiting legal dispute with Gibson has taken a fresh turn, with the original verdict being reversed on appeal and the court ordering the case to be retried. The United States Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit has ordered the case to be retried because, according to the three-judge panel, the original judge in the case was wrong to restrict certain evidence from being presented to the jury, stating that the jury, quote, was not presented with a complete picture of what happened. In that original verdict, the jury found that Dean had infringed on Gibson's body shape trademarks for the Flying V, Explorer, and SG, as well as separate trademarks for the Dove wing headstock and the Hummingbird acoustic guitar. The jury also found that Dean marketed counterfeits for the Flying V, Explorer, and SG body shapes and the Gibson Hummingbird. Okay, now something that this article did not mention here, and we'll go on with the rest of the article in just a second, but something that's kind of left out here is the weird reaction to the original ruling. Because on one hand, it was found, yes, Gibson won the lawsuit, and by that they mean that it was found that Dean was infringing on Gibson's trademarks. However, the damages that Gibson, were originally seeking for all this infringement were never awarded, and they awarded Gibson like a tiny, it was like, I don't know, $1,000 or $1,400 or some really, really tiny amount of damages was awarded, I should say, to Gibson when they were originally seeking millions, right? So on one hand, Gibson was saying, look, we won the lawsuit. They were infringing on our intellectual property. On the other hand, Dean was, at the same time, they were also claiming victory, saying, look, Gibson was trying to get all this money out of us and the court denied it to them. So there was this really weird period of time where both Gibson and Dean were claiming victory in the lawsuit. And it just kind of depended on what you felt the point of the lawsuit was. Now, I think in reality, and certainly in the court of public opinion, Gibson did win the lawsuit because of the outcome of the lawsuit. The court ordered that Dean had to stop producing and selling certain models, the ones that were found to infringe on the trademarks of Gibson. Okay, anyway, let's go ahead and read the rest of this article. So it goes on here to say, Dean launched its appeal against the ruling in August 2022, and now it appears that the brand has been successful in convincing the Court of Appeals that the original verdict should be overturned and the case retried. Gibson shed more light on the circumstances of the appeal in a statement to guitar.com, saying, yesterday, a three-judge panel of the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals remanded the Gibson versus Armadillo case for retrial. The Court of Appeals found that the district court allegedly abused its discretion in excluding certain evidence. Gibson will be requesting all the appellate judges reconsider the panel decision. Gibson is confident that the Texas judge and jury got it right the first time. Well, of course, Gibson's going to think that because they ruled in Gibson's favor to begin with. Now, another little detail I'll add in here is one of the big issues that a lot of people just in the legal world had with the original outcome of this court case was the fact that Dean had been building these guitars for decades, and Gibson had not done anything. They'd basically been ignoring it. And in the past, when there have been other cases like that, there were cases with Fender from many years ago, when there were legal cases, they said, hey, if you were going to do something about it, you should have done it a long, long time ago. And because you slept on your rights, I believe is the term, because you did that, we're not going to rule in your favor. So when the original court ruled in favor of Gibson, despite the fact that Dean Guitars had been building these body shapes since like the 80s or maybe even the late 70s, a lot of people were really surprised about that and skeptical that this was going to hold up. So let's read on here. Okay, so that was the Gibson reaction. Now here's, it says, on the Dean side, CEO of Dean parent company Armadillo Enterprises, Pam Rubinson, stated, we are incredibly pleased with the court's decision. This court's ruling affirms our commitment to Dean's legacy V and Z models that have been in continuous production since 1977. There we go, 77. And reinforces our belief in fair competition within the guitar industry. The case has been a high-profile one in the guitar world since Guitar.com first reported that Gibson was suing Dean back in June 2019. And even in the years since, the verdict has not been without incident. It goes on here. In 2022, Gibson accused Dean of contempt of court after the then CEO, Evan Rubinson, told Guitar.com that the company would not cease producing its Z and V guitars in defiance of the jury verdict. And while that claim was rejected, the company was found in civil contempt for continuing to advertise infringing guitars. And just a little more information here. This all had to do with like the Dean Guitars website, because Dean was ordered to stop producing and to stop selling these guitars, and I think you couldn't buy the guitar anymore, but they still had them listed on the company's website, even weeks and maybe even months after the ruling. And so Gibson went back to the court and said, hey, there's still, even if you can't buy one, they're still advertising that these guitars are out there and that they made these guitars and they should be taken off the website. It's not hard to take something off of a website. Why have they been dragging their feet on it? And the court, agreed with Gibson and found Dean Guitars to be in contempt of court. Okay, it goes on here. It's also worth noting that the success of the appeal and the retrial does not mean that Dean has, quote, won the case. They will simply get another chance to convince a jury that the original verdict was incorrect with the new evidence. Nor will this have any impact on the status of Gibson's existing trademarks, as the company reiterated in its statement to Guitar.com. Gibson said, Gibson's guitar body shapes are iconic, and it will continue to protect them to preserve its legacy, which is critical to protect partners, dealers, artists, and fans around the world. Gibson, like other iconic American brands, has invested in meaningful research, development, and innovation for 130 years and is confident that in a retrial, the jury will again find in favor of affirming Gibson's well-recognized intellectual property rights, rights that have been Gibson's for decades. Okay, so that's the final word from Gibson there. And to be totally honest, I'm very skeptical. I don't think that there's a very good chance that a retrial is going to come to the same conclusion. And again, it all comes down to, Gibson said it right at the end, these rights that have been Gibson's for decades. Well, if they've been yours for decades, why didn't you try to enforce them decades ago in the late 70s when Dean Guitars started making these guitars? Fender went through a similar thing, many years ago, and it was eventually found that the body shapes are not protected. And so now, anybody who wants to can make a Strat or a Telecaster or whatever body shape. And it now comes down to really the headstock. The headstock shape has become the element of the design that is really protected. And that is why you get so many different variations, all these different companies making a Strat body, and then they'll have some, they'll do their own headstock, right? That's how things are these days. But I think with this new trial that they're going to have, for Gibson and Dean guitars, I think the outcome of this trial is going to have a big impact on the guitar community. If they basically come to the same conclusion again, well, now you've got the situation where fender bodies are not protected, fender body shapes are not protected, but Gibson's are. Why is that? You know, why are one company's protected and not another company's, or vice versa? And if it goes the other way, then it's like, no, the body shapes are not protected. Well, that kind of then takes down the final barrier where any company can make any body shape they want to. And I think that's really the direction it's going to be heading in. But guys, let me know what you think about all of this down in the comments section below. And I'm going to reach out and I'm going to contact the guys over at Blues Lawyer Confessional, Matt and Jack over there. And I'll probably do a follow-up video to this one with those guys so they can correct all of my baseless speculation and get me straightened out legally and that kind of stuff. So be looking for that in the future. Okay, guys, let me know your thoughts down below. If you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll talk to you very soon.